A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win! They win it! James catches, puts up a three. Won't go. Rebound time. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Tie game with 5 seconds remaining. Iguodala to Curry. Back to Iguodala. Up to the line. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection. Portland has 3 timeouts left. The Lakers have 2. Bryant to shot. A chance to send the Thunder home. Lillard, long-range three.
All right, guys. Happy Monday night here on the 40 Minutes Basketball Network. Tim DeAndrew here, as always, with Ben Brown and Josh Hayes. And, guys, obviously, we are coming off of Super Bowl Sunday. So we are center stage now for about, I know there's baseball in like 6 weeks, but let's just be real. We're center stage till like June. So.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it.
Basketball reigns supreme, baby.
Somebody's like, pitchers and catchers report. I'm like, nobody gives a crap.
Yeah. If you're not the New York Mets, no one cares about pitchers and catchers report.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So we got the time. We got the place. We're here. What'd you guys think yesterday? I know it was a game that was very legendary. I know a lot of people were very, very stoked about it. And once again, the Kansas City Chiefs so happen to get a lucky call that wouldn't be called in the middle of the game, but gets called in the fourth quarter to get field goal range to win the game. But what'd you guys think of the game?
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be completely honest with you. First half.
I didn't watch the single down, so.
I was like, first half, I completely was putting up a ceiling fan in my bedroom. So nice. I missed completely. We stopped that project, which we got everything done. We just had to flip the power on. My wife goes, hey, Rihanna's doing halftime. You want to go watch that? I'm like, sure. She's like, we're going to eat some wings. Cool. Sounds good. So we got wings, watched Rihanna. I watched a little bit of the third, watched a little bit of the fourth. I guess it's just hard for me to get into a game where I just didn't have any rooting interest.
Same.
So, but overall, from what I've seen, the clips, I heard it was a really good game. I heard Jalen Hurts played really well. He would have been the MVP if they won. I heard people complaining about the call. I heard the guy said the call was legit. So it is what it is, man. Patrick Mahomes is incredible. He's a very good player. I do think that there is a group of teams that'll be back in that same position next year. So, I don't know. I really didn't have an impression anyway on the game. I really honestly didn't pay attention to it enough to have an opinion.
Kind of with you, Ben. It's really hard to watch a Super Bowl when you don't have any investment in it.
Right.
But at the same time, having kids and your kids are fans of certain players.
Mm-hmm.
Both of my kids are huge Jalen Hurts fans. And for people who don't know his story and what happened to him in college, to see him being a starting quarterback in the Super Bowl. And then on top of it, if the Eagles win that game, Jalen Hurts goes down as maybe one of the greatest Super Bowl performances of all time. He balled out of his mind. And he had this one random blemish where he fumbled with nobody touching him or anything. And they got picked up and ran back for a touchdown. Was the only mistake he made all game. And it was the most awkward exchange of a football ever. But he bounced right back, got his team into the game, went down, got a 2-point conversion, tied it up. And I think what happened at the end of the game was the call was legit as far as what it was.
Sure.
And I think what everybody is upset about is that from a fan standpoint, you had this phenomenal football game going on, right? Tie ball game, little over 2 minutes left. And then a penalty changes the trajectory of the end of the game. So instead of the Chiefs having to kick a field goal and letting Philly have the ball back, they got to run the clock down and kick a field goal and win the game. And I think everybody wanted to see, like, because Hurts played so well, what's going to happen if he gets the ball back? Can they drive down and score and win the game? And I think, like, that penalty just kind of deflated, like, the moment. So to speak, as a fan watching the game, you were like, man, like, I get it was a foul. Like, did you really have to call it, though? Like, like, just let them play. Like, up to that point, there was only like 8 or 9 penalties called the whole game.
Right.
There was no holding penalties called at all. None.
Oh, wow. Really?
No pass interference penalties. No holding penalties. There was an offensive pass interference called. Sorry. But, like, Jalen Hurts was dropped. No, it was on the Eagles on a screen pass. But Jalen Hurts was dropping dimes all over the field. I mean, he threw some passes that I didn't even know he could make.
Yeah.
But the other take I got out of it was, people were like, oh, everybody always thinks you have to win games by stats. And, like, Mahomes literally played the perfect football game, only throwing for 182 yards.
Yeah.
He made plays that he needed to. He really is hurt. I know people think he's like, you can tell he's hurt. I wouldn't be shocked if that high ankle sprain ends up becoming a surgery after the season.
Yeah, those are no joke.
Yeah.
There's definitely no joke.
I'll say this out of the game before we get into some conversation. I think we need to change the narrative on who the 2 best quarterbacks were in the 2020 NFL draft. It's Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts, and Justin Herbert does not belong with those 2. All right, let's talk basketball.
Statement made.
Guys, the first impressions are here now. We've had a game or 2 for just about each team that made some big moves over the weekend. Where, so I want to kind of touch real quick, get some of your guys' thoughts on that. The Lakers and Warriors obviously had the big game Saturday night. They were the primetime game. Well, we were all kind of in the air of what was going to happen with the whole James Wiseman, Gary Payton second trade and all that dilemma. While that was going on, Gary Payton, during the Lakers game, Gary Payton II walks out to the seats with Bob Myers. You're like, all right, that trade's happening. You're like, that's a done dealio. But I want to kind of go through a few different things here, kind of get your guys' thoughts on a few players. I could only fit these 3 necessarily, but I really thought D'Angelo Russell and Jared Vanderbilt looked really good in their Lakers debut. I think they'll fit really well with LeBron and AD. Well, AD wasn't necessarily very good this game offensively, like at all, but made some huge plays on the stretch defense. But Jared Vanderbilt looks like the perfect player for what they need off the bench. Malik Beasley looked pretty decent. On the Brooklyn side of things, I thought, even, I know they lost a close game to Philly. I thought Mikal Bridges looked awesome. I think that he's going to be so good there. I think he's going to be an all-star in Brooklyn. He's definitely the best player on the team now. And then yesterday in Boston, they played Memphis yesterday at the Garden. And I thought Mike Muscala looked really comfortable in his role there, coming off the bench as the backup 5. It had 10 points, I think 6 rebounds. And then Josh Hart looked pretty darn good too in his Knicks debut. So I just wanted to kind of say, I really liked what we saw from a lot of these teams that made trades and what they got going. So I wanted to kind of get your guys' thoughts on anything that jumped out to you particularly, and what you might have thought on the new players particular that were moved at the trade deadline, because we obviously haven't seen Durant play yet.
Right. Well, I think this is the first time I felt like everybody who traded got what they needed. You know what I mean? The Lakers needed a solid point guard in D'Angelo Russell. They needed a guy that'd be able to come off the bench. They needed some complementary guys with AD and LeBron, and I think they got that. Westbrook tried, and actually Westbrook did a really good job of being the bench guy. But I think there was some internal turmoil there where, he was causing issues in the locker room, or maybe with Darvin Ham from what it came out to be. So they had to get rid of him. Patrick Beverley never was a great fit. Patrick Beverley is a guy he's going to hustle. He's going to play defense, but he never was a guy that was going to win them games. So now I think they brought some guys in there that they can actually, help you win games, do some things, be productive. And also on top of that, be complimentary to AD and LeBron. So that move I think is going to work out well. Like you said, Josh Hart, the move to the Knicks, I never had faith in the Knicks anyway, but Josh Hart is a good move. He played really well. The Muscala fit with the Celtics, I think, is really good because I think they needed a big coming off the bench. So I think that's a good fit. Boston didn't need much, but what they got is going to help them. Win games. So the really interesting one is going to be the KD in Phoenix to see how that looks. They had pictures of him practicing today with the Suns, so that'll be interesting to see how that all fits with Devin Booker and Chris Paul and Kevin Durant all on the floor together. It'll be interesting to see that. But other than that, I think everybody in the trades got what they were looking for in the trades, not except for, but it'll be interesting to see how this Gary Payton II thing works out with him. I guess having an injury, the trade almost
core
being
muscle.
Voided. Yeah, the trade almost being voided. Now it's not voided. They wanted to work through it, so that'll be interesting to see. We know what Gary Payton II did for them last year and how he fits. So I think that's going to work out as well.
I'm going to touch back to the Lakers because I'm still having a problem with LeBron not playing. So their first game with some of their guys, they played Golden State and they won. And one of the things I noticed is that, the guys that they got in the deal when Anthony Davis was on the floor and he was struggling, these other guys stepped up. So in that game, Hachimura had 16, D'Angelo Russell had 15, Jared Vanderbilt had 12 to help with the scoring. And then Schroeder picked up the bulk of it with 26. And then I also noticed that they had Lonnie Walker coming off the bench instead of starting.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a little odd. So I don't know if his role changes. But I feel like the Lakers now have a good 7, 8 to 9 guys that they can rotate in their lineup that are good quality NBA players that gives them a sustained rotation that may allow like LeBron to sit a little bit potentially like in these games and not max him out. I think they put together a solid enough roster to make a run to get into this play-in. And like I said, that's a team I don't want to play in a play-in game or a 7-game series with those two guys healthy. I just don't want to see it. All the guys you mentioned, Ben, like you said, Josh Harts and the Muscalas and like some of these smaller trades, these guys kind of fit their roles pretty good. Looks like we're waiting to see what Jay Crowder is going to do with the Bucks and where Russell Westbrook's actually going to go. And
that's an interesting one.
Like we'll
the
get
buyout
to it.
market. Okay, all right.
Yeah, we'll get to it in a minute.
Go ahead, Josh.
But the interesting one for me, and I always said I don't think this is going to work in the long run. I know everybody thought that Dallas got a good trade value when they got Kyrie in. And I know there was a game that Kyrie played that Luka didn't play that they won. But then I think they played together for the first time when they played the Kings. And the game before they won. And then they got to play together and they lost to the Kings. So I'm not sure if they're just trying to figure out like who's what, when, where. Doncic played 41 minutes. Kyrie played 42 minutes. They were 28 and 27 respectively. I just have a hard time. They're very similar of the same player where they got to have the ball in their hands a lot. I feel like there's going to be a lot of headbutting on the floor when those two guys are together. I think they're going to have to figure out a way where they're only on the floor together, maybe in the beginning for a little bit and then towards the end. And then they're both on and off the floor in between their breaks so that they have one dominant guy on the floor around everybody else. So I believe they're 2-1 with Kyrie, 1-0-1 with Luka and Kyrie. So interesting for me to see how that goes moving forward.
Did Luka and Kyrie play together when they scored 76 points in the quarter or the half?
No.
Okay. All right.
So you mentioned that first game when they played the Clippers. I mentioned it last week on the show, Josh. I thought Kyrie looked awesome.
He did.
Yeah, great. Didn't he? Like it seemed like he fit so well. He meshed so well with those guys. And then I thought him and Luka looked pretty good. But this is what he came back to in this conversation we've had for a couple of weeks now. I shouldn't say a couple of weeks because the trade's only a week old. But we just kind of always, and we talked about this in our text messages, obviously. But those two together, obviously, you feel pretty good about in a game. It's just everything after that is so up and down. You don't know what you're getting. And that's where I kind of get worried about them. In that case, it's like, okay, so who else is going to step up, especially in a playoff series? I'm going to say something to you guys that I absolutely hate saying, and you guys know how much this pains me to say. The Celtics are winning the title.
They're so good.
I think you've said this a couple times now in text messages. So I mean, we've said something, and you were like, "Celtics are winning the title." I mean, it's been multiple times that you've mentioned it.
I mean, I was super worried about their defense at the beginning of the year because they looked atrocious defensively, but I was like, well, I'll score everybody. Who cares? Now that Time Lord's back and Marcus Smart's been hurt and they still have been really good defensively without him, I just have no doubts in them anymore. And even with Jaylen Brown out for a little while, they're going to get him back by April, obviously, is the expectation there. So the Celtics are going to win the title. I think Mike Muscala was just like another nice addition for them. I mean, I don't think he's like the difference maker. It's not like we were one Mike Muscala away from winning the championship. But
he was all we needed.
I think that they are just tremendously so good. And I hate to say it, but yeah, I'm picking Boston to win the title from here. I do want to kind of also mention. So you talked about Josh. It does sound like I listened to Dave McMenamin today on the Hoop Collective with Wendy. I guess this LeBron thing is a little bit more accurate than we thought it was. I guess the more or less he's got this foot problem, and they're saying he's going to be back for Wednesday's game because they want to have him play one more for the All-Star game. But I'm with you. If your foot was healthy enough to play 3 quarters and score 36 points on a monument night, where have you been the rest of the time since then? Because your foot looked just fine in that game. But whatever. So with them, they kind of had this conversation, and I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on it because I don't think that this makes them a championship contender by any means. I think it looks really good. Pelinka said that he traded with these guys with the intent of keeping them because right now, if you look at their contract situation, they have 4 players on the books for next year. LeBron, AD, Max Christie, and Jared Vanderbilt. Other than that, it's open game. We obviously know they wanted Kyrie Irving, and there's a reason they kind of did things the way they did, right? You know? So they were doing this with using the term pre-agency, as in we traded to have these guys around. But, you know, I think D'Angelo Russell's a good consolation prize for not getting Kyrie. So what do you guys kind of think about how this looks? Because I think the biggest thing that jumped out in that game, and I'm just rambling at this point, just kind of having more thoughts go in my head. But we mentioned how good Anthony Davis looked in that game defensively. I think they looked good as a whole defensively in that game. And then look, I understand Golden State's playing without Curry. But Jordan Poole went nuts in the fourth quarter. Like he was not missing a thing. Literally, I think he missed 1 shot in the fourth quarter in that game. But defensively, man, the way they adjusted, the way they rotated, it looked like a whole completely different roster defensively.
No, I would agree with that. I think sometimes the adjustment of bringing in a different energy sometimes helps. And I think that's kind of what that is. I think this is not a bash on Beverly or Westbrook or any of those guys, but I think that I think there was something more to it than what we know. I don't think that those guys were a good fit. I think they tried. I think they really tried hard. But now you have some guys that I think fit what they want to do more. And I think that it's going to be I think their energy will be a little bit different, a little bit better for the Lakers as far as trying to make this run for this last little push to get to the play-in playoff spot.
Well, I think that they want the offense to go through Davis.
Right.
If you look at that game, he took 19 shots, only 1 3-pointer, 19 shots. Now, a lot of those shots were contested. He was getting a lot of pushback from like Draymond. Yeah, Draymond was playing some really good defense, and Looney was playing some good defense here and there. But like I said, now you got guys on the floor that can step up and make shots. Brown, like he's been playing solid. Tim, like you said, Vanderbilt killed it that game. He was all over the place, and I've liked Vanderbilt ever since he was in Minnesota. Like he's kind of a high energy guy. He basically gives you what he gives you for your minutes. He's kind of like another JaVale McGee to me, where like you put him in and like you get production of him on the floor when he's out there.
It's good call.
You got, some of these role players they want to hold on to. I don't know. I've never been as down on D'Angelo Russell as most. Like I think D'Angelo Russell could be a really high end role player. He's made an All-Star game. I mean, he led the Nets to the playoffs, so he's got it in him.
Yeah,
It's just like it's almost like the whole Wiggins thing. Like where does your style fit in the NBA for you to be productive on a team? Like what is your niche? Like what can you do? You're not a number one. Like we know you're not that. We don't know if you're really a number two. Are you the third wheel on a team? Like,
yep.
So they'll find that niche. Dennis Schroeder. We laughed. We've been laughing at him for a couple years because he bet on himself and lost. But like here he is back with the Lakers, doing what he did the first time he was there. We know the guy can ball. I mean, he puts up numbers. I just imagine like what would have happened had he had taken the deal the first time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I think the Lakers have a chance to make a run at winning a couple rounds in the playoffs if this team stays healthy. I think when they get into, Lord help them if they let Phoenix mesh with each other. Ben, I know you said you don't know how it's going to work with KD not being on the floor yet, but I'm telling you this. I've never seen KD not just be able to fit in and play basketball. It doesn't matter what system he's in. It doesn't matter where he plays. He's 27. He's 27, 7-7, 27, 7 and 5 every night he's on the floor, no matter where he's at, shooting 50+% from the field. So I just imagined Phoenix being a really, really efficient ball club when they get him healthy.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting with the West, especially, the reports come out that Zion re-aggravated his hamstring. I think that cooks. I think that cooks New Orleans.
Yeah.
I don't see any way they can recover from that. So you're talking about this play-in situation, Josh. I think Lakers top them. OKC is far better than I think a lot of people expected them to be. I think we all kind of knew they had young talent, but we just didn't know if they were going to mature. They're maturing. They're playing very well. So that makes that dynamic really interesting as well. Minnesota's so up and down. I guess they're getting Cat back soon. That certainly helps. And having Mike Conley as a veteran point guard to kind of be like the leader of those guys who has already played a couple seasons with Rudy Gobert, I think is going to be good for them. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Golden State is Golden State. It's the team that if they can somehow sneak in. And like Josh said a couple weeks ago, so we're talking about these teams. The Lakers right now are 13 games out of first, but they're 4 games out of 6.
Out of 6, right?
You know what I mean? So
crazy.
It's like,
well, and another thing, Tim, is like teams 4 through 11 are only 3 games apart from each other.
Right? Yeah, it's like this is so interesting.
So crazy.
Like you get on a 4-game winning streak, and a team loses a couple games, like you just leapfrog like 8 teams. Like I mean, it's that crazy.
Yeah, I guess McMenamin said the Lakers flat out said their goal the second half of the year is to go 20-10. They just spoke it, and it's like, okay, let's calm it down. Shaedon Sharp basically said that he's like, I'm not going to do the dunk contest because I want to focus on the second half for Portland. It's like, you guys ain't shit. You guys aren't going anywhere. Like, come on, Shaedon. And then, Utah traded away a lot of their rotation.
Utah's trending backwards.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. I mean, I know LA plays Portland tonight in Portland. They're shockingly without LeBron still 3-point favorites, but that'll be a really interesting game. Yeah, I'm excited to see how the West shakes out. And the East, I feel like we're kind of getting to the point where we know who's who and we know who it's going to be. So
hey, my team to watch out for in the East, I'm telling you, man, is Toronto. I know that people remember I told you like all Toronto needs to do is get in a rhythm where they can start playing. And I think like I've been seeing them play some pretty close games where they've started to look like they're a little better. They've been 6-4 in their last 10. They're right there on that cusp of getting into the that 6, 7, 8 spot. I'd watch them. I really would.
Yeah, I like them. I think I do always like them. I just like their structure. Did you guys see Harden's post game interview after the game Saturday?
I didn't see it
I
specifically.
did not.
So funny. So funny. So, there's the media scrum after the game. They're in the locker room, and this guy goes, "What?" I think it's the guy from the AP goes, "James, did you suspect a year ago that there'd be a situation where you'd be coming to Brooklyn as the visitors' locker room and Kevin and Kyrie would not be on the Nets?" He doesn't even think. He goes, "Yeah."
Dude, there had to be some serious dysfunction in that, because all three guys have said the same thing. It's a dysfunctional organization. It's a dysfunctional place to work for. They've all said the same thing.
But the bullshit about that, Ben, is Durant and Kyrie got whatever they wanted. They were like,
absolutely.
Okay, we don't want Kenny Atkinson. We want him fired. Done.
Yep.
We don't want Jared Allen. We want DeAndre Jordan. Done.
Yep.
Trade for James Harden. Get him in here because he needs to play with us. Done. And then they're like, nah, man, it's toxic.
We don't like it here. It's a terrible place to work. We get everything we want. It's terrible.
Kyrie
we get coaches fired.
Yeah, Kyrie comes out and he's like, I'm really glad Kevin got out of there. He really needed to get out of there. It's like, what the fuck, Kyrie? Like, this is like, and you can tell like Harden is like, it looks like I'm not the one that was dysfunctional after all. It looks like I'm not so crazy when I'm the first one asked out. And it's like, so awesome. Just such good TV.
So wild, man.
It's like the end of WCW when they were like, this guy's in the NWO, this guy's in the NWO, these two are in the NWO. That's NWO Silver with Bret Hart.
We got NWO
Jarrett.
Red and Black. Oh, we got LWO. Oh, we got it all.
Everybody. I love the fact that there's a player union, a players union, and the players get to every so many years they get to sit down and they get to like kind of like push for the things that they want. But like once that deal is done, right? I don't know how many every years it is, but like once that deal's done and you got to do that deal for the next however long you guys set it up for, like it's done at that point, right? So like why try to fight some of the things that like you guys agreed to? You got your player reps over here like, hey, we agree to this, and this. We agree to money compensation. We agree to salary caps. We agree to, this and that. And then you try to find all these new narratives to say like the league is trying to control us. They won't let us do this I get all that. But like, again, you go to a job, you say, hey, I want to get paid this much at this job to do this skill set. And we're like, okay, we're going to give you the max that we can possibly give you. So we need you to honor that contract. Guys get in 1 year and they're like,
no,
this ain't what I signed up for. We're like, what? Like you knew what you were walking into, right? You knew exactly what it was you were walking into.
Yeah, I agree, dude. It is so funny because it's like, I think we have this issue in the league, and I'm not trying to get all like old man here, but it's like a lot of these teams just don't want to have any sort of adversity. Now, I'm all for doing whatever it takes to improve your roster. I think every team should be trying to do that. That's the way to go. But it's like when things get bad, like, well, the Brooklyn thing's so funny because at one point they won 18 of 20, and those two were still like, nah, hell with this. But how many teams is like they lose 6 in a row or so, and it's like, well, this needs to change and this needs to change. It's like, learn to play together. Yep. Like, this is what we did. This is what we put together. This is how we made this structure. I mean, you look at Detroit right now. They're terrible. We obviously know they're really bad. Mm-hmm. But every night, whether they get beat by 30 or they win by like 3 or whatever the situation is, one of those young guys has something where you're like, oh, wow, that was really cool. So like Jalen Duren the other night has that incredible overtime game. I understand it's against the Spurs where they just traded their center, where he scores 32. He's got 16 or 17 rebounds and he's got 4 blocks. And it's like, okay, that dude's going to play in the league. And then yesterday, I know they lose again, but Jaden Ivey looks really good. It's like, okay, that guy can be you, and you have a future when Cade Cunningham comes back. Those two, you got Duren, and Isaiah Stewart is like that really awesome like role player. And it's like those guys are like, yeah, we're getting our ass kicked every night, but we're learning this. We're putting this together. We've talked all year about Orlando. Orlando's a good basketball team, folks. I know what their record says, but they're a good basketball team. And they're putting it together and they're learning, and they don't have a star player right now by any means, but I think Paolo Banchero is going to develop into that. We've talked about that all year. And Brooklyn, what Brooklyn managed to do in all those trades, getting rid of Kyrie, getting rid of Kevin Durant, what they managed to get back is not necessarily a contender. But
it saved their franchise, though.
But a lot of really good basketball players who are going to fight like hell. They're going to defend every single night.
Yep.
I mean, they went out there their first game. I know Mikhail didn't play, and they beat the Bulls, and the Bulls aren't shit. We've talked about this all year. But
they got picks too. I mean, they're saving their franchise from total disarray and having no kind of future to now you brought in some players that are going to play, and you got yourself some picks. I mean, that's what we talked about. So, yep.
Yeah. Who's a kind of a player? Here's a player I'm kind of falling in love with basketball wise is Mark Williams from the Hornets, dude. Like I've watched a couple. He hasn't been playing a whole lot, but he's like playing really well. Tonight he just blocked Trae Young's game-winning shot against Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
So that was pretty cool. I dug that. But yeah.
Well, I got two examples for you for that. And I'm just going to go back a little bit. So we talk about that. So LeBron. So when LeBron comes in the league, right? Mm-hmm. Remember, he spent his first 7 years in Cleveland,
right,
before he went to Miami. Now, I know a lot of people knocked him. I knocked him for the way that he went to Miami, not necessarily that he went to Miami. I understand his frustration with Cleveland. He was there 7 years, and I know they made it to the finals with a team, but like when you go back and look at it, like they didn't build a team around him the way that like the Bulls built a team around Jordan.
Right.
Now, the Bulls did it the right way. They built through the draft. They got the guys that said, hey, we need guys to complement him. And they built it and it worked. Cleveland, I don't know what they were doing. They were like, hey,
Wallace. Here's Joe Smith.
We got this guy that could potentially be the face of the league. We've had him 7 years. We've not done crap to give him a chance to win. Now, they had some decent players, but nobody like a Scottie Pippen or any of those role players. So he goes to Miami, right? They build a team, win a championship. I don't know if I really look at LeBron and say, you know what, man, you didn't try because you were there 7 years. Like, give me some help. The second example I have, though, is OKC, where they did build through the draft. They did go to the finals and lose. And I said, you know what? This team could be special for a whole lot of years. And what happened as soon as they lost in that finals? James Harden left to go to Houston, right?
Yeah.
They couldn't keep him. They couldn't keep him. And then the next year, KD and Durant lost to Memphis. And then the next year they lost, and then KD's like, I'm out. Because he's like, I can't play with this guy the way adversity, they couldn't handle it, right? They're like, send me out, send me somewhere else. I would have loved to see that team stay together and say, you know what can you three guys do on this team built the way that you are? How many titles can you win? Can you beat the Spurs? Can you beat Golden State? Can you beat Miami with this team you got constructed? On top of having Serge Ibaka and Steven Adams, and I mean, they had a roster upon rosters.
Roberson.
Mm-hmm. They had a roster. Cephalosha, like they were loaded.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
They couldn't handle the adversity, and they were like, we dip, like we're out. And then all of them went somewhere else, with the exception of KD. KD found a spot where he was like, this is a spot I can fit in, be low key, do what I do, win a couple chips, and head out. The other two have struggled in that spot. You know, they wanted money and fame, and they left instead of saying like, hey, let's figure out how to win together. And then you got the Spurs. And you got the Spurs who's like, you know what? Hey, we put our big three together. We stay together. Let's win 5 chips.
Right.
And that's like my point about, you know, as we all know, I can't stand the Celtics, but you got to give these guys you got to give that organization props. You got to give Brad Stevens props for being like, okay, so these two, we're building around these two guys. We're not trading these guys anywhere. We're bringing guys to play with them. So let's draft Robert Williams late in the first. Let's draft Grant Williams late in the first. Let's draft Marcus Smart. Let's trade for Derek White. You know, and it's like every move they make, let's trade for Malcolm Brogdon. And I think, I really admire and appreciate
Brogdon for them is fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I think he's in his 30s tonight, like point wise.
I believe it.
Whatever they're doing right now.
Yeah. It's they're fun, man. And so, I think the Bucks do a good job in roster building too. I think they're a really prime example of that. But we could go on this forever. We still have other topics to get to. I do want to talk real quick. So kind of the buyout stuff coming out. Some of the conversations you're hearing. So Danny Green, I guess, did sign a deal to go back to Cleveland for a year. Love that. Love that fit.
Yep.
Love it. Terrence Ross apparently will be joining the Suns. I guess he was going to be joining Dallas. And I think I said Phoenix swooped in, was like, no, dude, we need you here. I'm a big fan of Terrence Ross.
Yeah, that's a big get for them too. I mean, not to say, of course, that's a team that just got Kevin Durant, but I like Terrence Ross on that roster.
Yeah, they got to fill out bench players from all the things they gave up. So, and then I guess the rumor is Utah's going to buy out Westbrook, and it sounds like the Bulls are a potential fit for him. And
makes no sense for the Bulls or for him.
I can't tell you how much I hate it, Josh. I just can't tell you. I absolutely hate it.
But you saw my video I sent to you guys the other day. Like, this is how I feel as a Bulls fan right now. And I showed you Benny the Bull like running into the dude in the stands with the popcorn and just barreling him over. Like that trade doesn't help the Bulls, nor does it help Westbrook try to win. Like, you're just taking on money at that point to be like what?
So he'll get bought out, so they'll pay like $2 million. But still, But still, like, there's no benefit to that basketball wise. So you're at a point right now where your team sucks. We've talked about this all year, obviously. This team's terrible. They're an embarrassment. They're a disgrace. The fact they did nothing at the trade deadline is even worse. Like Cleveland, I explained last week. I was frustrated that first the Cavs didn't make a move, but I thought more and more about it. I looked more into it. I was like, you know what? They have their core.
Yep.
They know who they are. So fine. You got money because you have all those guys on small contracts, except for I think Garland and Mitchell. Mobley's rookie contract, you still have him under control for a couple more years, Okoro, et cetera, so on and so forth. Fine. I think Danny Green's a really good guy for them, a 3-point shooter off the bench. He's a veteran. The Cavs are probably going to have home court advantage if things keep shaking out the way they are. Cool. I dig it. But with the Westbrook thing, if the Bulls are the case in the situation there, there is no need. There's just nothing there. I mean, right now, this is a team that's losing as we speak to the Magic. Which I just gave the Magic credit for being a good basketball team, is putting it together. But that's not the team you're supposed to lose to. You should not have lost to that Brooklyn Nets team who didn't have majority of those players ready yet. I know they had Dinwiddie. I know they had DFS, but their best player wasn't there that night, and you guys got the break speed off you. Like, Mikal Bridges is being interviewed on the sideline during that game, and you guys lose to them. He's not even on the floor. He's their best player. That's your Levine stopper. And you guys can't beat these guys. That's embarrassing. It's a freaking joke. And now you're like, oh gosh, our Karnisovas comes out and he's like, we tried. You didn't try. Look, we all saw the reports. The 3 picks, Derrick Rose and Quentin Grimes for Zach LaVine. Maybe that doesn't help your team this year, but this is gone. Your best asset is in Orlando. They're going to get that pick.
Yep.
So this was your situation where you could have made this better. That got your situation better. At that point, maybe you say, maybe we want to build around DeMar. Okay, that's fine. But at least said you have an angle. This team has no angle. They have no direction. So Russell Westbrook does not make that better. What do you bring him in for? We're going to make a fight for the play-in. Why? You're not hosting a play-in game at that. You're not close to that situation. So, like, what are you going to do? Like, bring Russell Westbrook in to potentially win the play-in and get your ass kicked by Milwaukee or Philly or Boston? It's a stupid franchise. I'm not one to give up on teams, but there's a lot of me that's like, do I even want to pay attention to this bullshit basketball organization anymore?
Like I said, last year when they made all the moves was the first time I was excited since we had Derrick Rose.
Yeah, me too.
Before he went down and like they messed all that up somehow. Maybe not following through with the physical, realizing that Lonzo was hurt more than what he really was. You get Caruso off the deal, free agent. Like, your team was built ready to go. We thought you drafted well with Pat and with Williams and all that. And here we are, same old Bulls. Like, pick gone. You're be like Utah. Be like OKC. Like, get draft picks.
Be like Sacramento. I mean, majority of that team they drafted, and then they traded for Sabonis, and now look where they're at.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Hey, earlier, my bad, dude. I was thinking of Jalen Brunson when I said Brogdon. Jalen Brunson's the one that's balling out tonight. He's got 36.
He's my dude. I love those Villanova kids, and I love that they're all playing for the Knicks, except for Archie Diacono's a Villanova kid, and he got traded for Josh Hart, which is hilarious to me. But yeah, man, it's just kind of goofy, and I don't know. I think this buyout market is going to be interesting because there are a couple teams that have spots left. Patrick Beverly was released by Orlando yesterday. Sounds like
I really thought they'd keep him.
Yeah, right. He just really fits. He really fits the timeline.
He really fits what they're doing right now.
Reggie Jackson got bought out. It sounds like there's a potential for him to go to Dallas.
Yeah, I did see that.
Which that's not. That's not.
He got bought out by Denver.
Charlotte. Yeah.
Charlotte.
I thought Denver was trying to pick him up. That's why I said that.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry, Josh. You're absolutely right. I thought it was Dallas that mentioned it. It was a D Western Conference team. So, I think did San Antonio buy anybody out? Because I know they got Devontae Graham, but they were planning on keeping up.
I have a question. Why did Denver? I know there was some grumbling, right? But Denver got rid of Bones Highland to go to the Clippers. But then the Clippers got rid of Luke Kennard and Reggie Jackson for Reggie Jackson to potentially go to Denver.
And John Wall.
And John Wall. Like, Reggie Jackson in Denver, to me, is an upgrade from Bones Highland. I know that sounds weird. Bones is barely shooting 40% from the field right now. Like, I know he's a high-energy guy. Like, you like him. He seems like he's an and-one type guy. But, like, you can't sustain in the NBA shooting 40% from the field. Like, at some point, like, you got to knock down shots. Reggie Jackson's proved in the playoffs, like, if you put me in a situation where I got to be the guy, like, I can be the guy for a game or two and build a bridge between somebody else playing bad or somebody not being there until they get back. He proved that with the Clippers when Ty Lue had him and they made that deep run in the playoffs. So why do you get rid of a guy like that?
I don't know, man. Yeah, I liked everything they did except for that was kind of weird to me because who's their starting point guard? Is it going to be Bones? I don't know. I mean, I guess
that's why they were all lobbying for Westbrook to come there.
I guess in the half court, it doesn't necessarily matter, right? You can just run Paul George at the one and kind of have him play make. But other than that, it's kind of interesting. I don't know. I'm with you. It's kind of goofy to me, but I just want to reiterate real quick again. I absolutely love Danny Green going back to the Cavs. I think it's awesome. I think it's a really good fit. I think that team, I've told you guys all year, I think they have potential to be in the Eastern Conference Finals and upset one of those teams above them. If it works out right now, they're playing Boston in the first round. Maybe I'm a little wrong there. Maybe that's not the right answer, Tim. But, if they get to like that 3 seed maybe, and they got to play whoever. But, yeah. It's going to be interesting. So, guys, we are coming up on All-Star weekend, and we are it's in Salt Lake City, Utah. They are doing the draft right before the game. Do you guys like that? I kind of hate it.
No, I'm not a fan.
No,
I'm kind of done with the draft, honestly.
I was telling somebody the other day, man, I feel like I'm going to the Y, right?
Yeah.
And like 15 dudes walk in, and we're like, hey, man, we got to pick a squad and get out on the floor. Let's roll. Like, that's how I feel like it is right now. Like, winners stay, losers got to pick another team. Like,
Shirts versus skins. Yeah.
I don't get it, man. I mean, I'm sure like the players probably are like, yeah, we get to play with some of the guys from the East and some of the guys from the West and what have you. But like, I don't know, man.
I'm with you, dude.
I told you, I want to go back to like, I wish Sean was here because I want to go back to, you have point guard, shooting guard, power forward, center, small forward, and go back to the old school all-star unis or like you wear your whites, we wear our darks.
Yes.
You wear your own uniform in the game. The only thing they've done in the all-star game that makes sense that I love that happens every single game from here on out is the Kobe rule at the end of the fourth quarter.
I agree.
That makes you have to play basketball.
Yeah, I like that. I'm with you. Do you think this year? Well, shit, we don't even know the rosters. Ever since they started doing the captain's picks, I do kind of like that part. No, I lied. I don't really. But LeBron has not lost when he's got to pick his team in this All-Star game. So I guess this might be the year he does because he has no idea who he's going in with. And all the injuries, I'm excited for Anthony Edwards to start in the All-Star game. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be really cool.
He's starting?
But I think was it him, De'Aaron Fox? No, it was Fox. I'm sorry. Fox, Markkanen, and who the hell was the other alternate they promoted to starter? But Anthony Edwards made the team after all the injuries.
Yeah.
So, anyway, let's start with the dunk contest because who the fuck are these guys?
Well, if Kenyon Martin Jr. can at least replicate some of his dad from college, we might be okay.
Yeah.
So that's about all I got.
Mac McClung of the Delaware Bluecoats, Kenyon Martin Jr., Trey Murphy, and Jericho Sims. Guys, I think we can officially call the dunk contest dead on arrival.
Yeah. I'll take guys that I'm not interested in watching dunk for $400, Alex. This is going to be the least watchable dunk contest I think we've ever seen. I don't know.
Yeah,
they got to figure either get some good guys in it or just get rid of it. I don't know. It's kind of making a mockery of it. Now, again, I mean, some of those guys may show up and be show out and do incredible things, but I just think that the slam dunk contest draws on names, right? Like Levine, Gordon, guys that you knew could put things together. That was the big draw for the dunk contest, was having guys that you knew could get the job done, have name recognition, and it be something fun to watch. I don't think anybody's really gonna watch or want to watch Mac McClung do another 360 windmill.
double pump.
I don't think there's anybody that's. I mean, unless he's got something creative or things he wants to do, I don't know. It's going to be hard to watch. I'll watch it.
We know the guys that we want to see in the dunk contest. If we could have our wish, it would be Ja,
right?
Zion,
yep,
right. You probably want the Levine and Gordon back in it.
Yeah.
Just even though, I mean, I thought Gordon was like old and like Gordon's still like in his 20s. Like,
yeah, he still got bounce.
Those four specifically are the guys I would want to see in it. And then I'm sure there's a couple guys I can't think of off the top of my head that's got some serious bounce. But those two gave us the most iconic dunk contest of the last 10 years, maybe even longer than that. And then we already know what Ja can do. He's almost postered every guy in the league so far. Right. And then just to see what Zion can do.
Get injured?
Probably.
Maybe.
But if you guys could add two more guys to it, who would it be?
Jaden Ivey. I think it's a perfect way to launch him into the universe. It's like, this could be one of our stars. Mean bounce. And F it. I bring Donovan Mitchell back.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. I would agree with those. I would like to see Ja. Usually guys that are good, explosive in-game dunkers, though, have a hard time being creative.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is crazy because they're creative on the fly in the game.
Right. In the game, it looks cool.
Yeah, like I think the biggest pain we'll ever have is the fact that LeBron never did it.
Dude, I was going to say that, man. If just as a gift to the people, I would love to see LeBron just be like, you know what? I'm just going to get him one. I don't even want to compete. I just want to see LeBron's 3 best dunks.
Yeah.
Whatever. You don't even have to be in the competition. Just be like, hey, these are my 3 best dunks. This is what I'm doing. Here you go. I don't need no score. I don't need nothing. Like, here we go. I'm just going to throw them out.
Yeah. I mean, he does in his kids' AAU line, so he might as well do it,
Right. Come out, have some fun.
Yeah. So the 3-point contest, I guess, is not completed. This feels like they're behind the schedule, and they're like,
They are behind.
"Oh crap! I forgot to do my homework."
So, we gotta have the 3-point contest. What are we supposed to do?
So here's the names announced so far, and here's some rumored participants as well. So announced so far, we have Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons of the Blazers, and of Ben's Indiana Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield. Rumored to also join are Lauri Markkanen of the Jazz, Malik Beasley of the Lakers, and Kevin Huerter of the Kings. And there's supposed to be 8, so there's supposed to be one more name that also has not been mentioned yet. I guess Anthony Edwards was mentioned at one point, which is kind of funny to me.
Oh, that's the other guy I would want to see in the dunk contest.
Oh, you're right.
That is who it is right there.
You're absolutely right, Josh. I agree. But with these names, I feel like they should treat the 3-point contest the way baseball treats the home run derby. Like, this should be that. And I think that these names are much better than what we have for the dunk contest, at least. So, Buddy Hield's won this before. He's shooting 42% from the field this year. I think he has the most 3-point attempts this season in the NBA.
I got my money on Kevin Huerter.
I was just about to say, man, Malik Beasley might have some newfound love in that Laker jersey. He might be fired up. I don't know. Maybe Larsa Pippen will be in attendance. So, that could be helpful. Allegedly, folks. Allegedly.
Touche, Tim. Touche.
My guy, Ben's guy, Tyrese Halliburton. I'll never bet against him.
Yeah.
So.
Bro, I'm still like cheesing over the fact that on his Twitter page he made Wally Zerbiak his cover picture.
So good.
Like, fantastic.
Yeah, that's legit.
Round of applause.
Absolutely.
I love that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think Markkanen's going to be sneaky good in this if he does participate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
but I'm kind of with you, Josh. I think Huerter is the guy, the sneak pick that won it all.
Well, they say rumor. It says rumored, so
yeah,
I don't know if he's actually going to be in it or not. But as long as he's out there and he rocks the headband, like, I'm good.
Right.
So, did you guys see that no one's been announced yet for the skills competition?
That's awesome.
Isn't that great?
It's like being late to do your homework. You know what I mean? Like,
or maybe are they trying to keep it a surprise? Or is they just like nobody wants to do it?
Westbrook's going to do it, but no one knows what jersey he's wearing. So
right,
bro, he's going to be out there like Will Ferrell and Talladega Nights. It's going to say me on it.
Right.
Oh, he ain't representing no team, or he's going to have an all-star jersey on, with no team logo. Just
maybe they'll use the players' kids. Like maybe Bronny and Bryce will do it, and then they'll have other players' kids do it.
Westbrook's going to be out there with the celebrity all-star jersey on, like just
you know what I mean?
With the Miz.
Let's just make it all the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I will tell you. I have to admit, I am excited about the Jordan Rising Stars Challenge. So these are the rosters here. Darren Williams' team is Jalen Green, AJ Griffin, Bones Highland, Walker Kessler, Trey Murphy, Alperen Sengun, Franz Wagner. Joakim Noah's team is Jalen Duren, Josh Giddey, Quentin Grimes, Evan Mobley, Jabari Smith, Jeremy Sohan, and Jalen Williams. Of course, Joakim Noah just went with all big-bodied dudes. He just went with all big-bodied dudes.
He sure did.
Pal Gasol's team is Jose Alvarado, Paolo Banchero, Scotty Barnes, Jaden Ivey, Ben Mathurin, Keegan Murray, and Andrew Nemhard.
I like that team.
I'll say that's probably the most balanced.
Yeah.
That team right there, man. Whew.
And then I think is this Jay Will? I didn't see what Jason this was. But he has all the G League guys. So City Cisco, Scoot Henderson, Maljaf King, Kenneth Lofton Jr., Mac McClung, Leonard Miller, and Scottie Pippen Jr. So he got all the G League Ignite guys and G League players.
I really enjoyed this last year.
It's fun. I enjoyed it too. I have a hard time betting against Duren, Giddey, Mobley, but that Pal Gasol team is pretty balanced.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Team Joakim Noah, they got some proven guys on there already.
Yeah. I can't wait for Jalen Green to just have the ball in his hands and not let anyone else touch it.
Right.
It's like everyone set screens or get out the way.
Hey, the Jalen Williams kid, man, he super impressed me when I was watching that Lakers game.
Yeah,
man, he. Hey, that OKC team, man, like
I know
For people who don't get to see them, I'm actually taking my youngest to go watch them play the Pacers on March 31st. And the more and more I watch them play, the more I'm like, dude, these draft picks that they have, like the team that they already have in place, and when they get Chet Holmgren back, like they're about 2 or 3 years away from being a legit contender with the guys they already have.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at their roster, so, Giddey, Shea, Jalen Williams. Yeah, there's 2 of them, so that's why I did that.
Well, there's 3 Williams.
Yeah.
Got all the Williams on one team.
Lou Dort, like you said, Chet's going to be back. Trey Mann, Kendrick Williams coming off the bench. Isaiah Joe's been pretty good for them, surprisingly. I think he was also a potential rumored name for the 3-point contest as well, because I think he's shooting like 40-something. They just got Dario in the Darius Baisley trade. That's a good basketball team
right there.
Yeah, that's a good basketball team that, like Josh has said, is going to have a lot of opportunities, whether it's through drafting or moving those picks to get better. I'm excited about them. So right now they have the 12th pick. Obviously, that the lottery will shake things up because of how it works. So they're in that like Keontae George from Baylor, Jarris Walker from Houston, Anthony Black from Arkansas group, which I like all those players a lot, to be honest with you. So they're going to be able to retool, and they're going to be fun for a long time. But yeah, dude, Jalen Williams had 6 steals that game. He was just awesome. I think someone like the people who were there at that said like when they were like doing the celebration where they were honoring LeBron, they were just in the corner and just like, all right, we're still playing a game. So how do we finish this game off and get the win? And with the coach that no one knows the name of, they got something going on there. So
they do for sure.
Hey, I did find this out. I'm sure a lot of people knew this. I did not know this, but I did find out that he was an assistant to Billy Donovan at the University of Florida, and Billy Donovan brought him to OKC as an assistant, and then he took over the team when Billy Donovan left.
Interesting.
That's his path to the NBA being a head coach. He is a product of Billy Donovan.
And Billy Donovan can't coach his team, so
Yeah.
But he'll get an extension.
There you go.
I hate the Bulls. All right, dudes. I think we kind of touched on everything, unless there's anything that comes to mind that you guys want to get to real quick.
No,
Nope.
I think we hit it all.
Awesome. I like it. So, hey, before we get out of here, I do want to go ahead and announce, if you've seen it already, Parker Fields and Neil Meyer have relaunched our college basketball website podcast at Large Bid. It does have its own RSS feed. They are on Spotify. You search at with the whole like ampersand, the whole like what you do for emails, Large Bid. You'll see it pop up there. So they're there. You can check that out. They've had 2 episodes now. They did a really good show today, breaking down Purdue's loss over the weekend and kind of breaking down the new top 25. So as we're getting close to the March Madness, you want to tune in there and give them a chance and give them a follow. That would be awesome. We're here as always each and every Monday on the 48 Minutes Network, whether it's all of us, a few of us, we always make it work. You can check out our gear at 48minutes, basketballnetwork.merchmake.com. And that way, if you have any other questions, anything you can do, let us know. Nice solid 5-star review goes a long way for us. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Have a good night, and we'll see you next week post All-Star game.
Yes, sir. Tim, sign off.
Tim, you out?
Oh, his device disconnected.